Hello, good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing very well and you are working on your project. I have posted the timetable for this academic year to you. We are now doing online. So by 18th, we are meeting face to face, and that is revision, which means that from this time to 18th, everything that you are supposed to do, you are doing it online. So you are supposed to pay very much attention, do all your homework, do all your assignment, and at the same time, make sure you are doing your project. Okay. So I want to reflect on what we have done already. We started with fabric construction methods. So we learned about the various methods that we can use to produce fabric. And we have taken weaving as the main fabric construction for this session. We've learned about the basic weaves, that is the twill, the plain, the satin, and how to construct them. I know now you have constructed your twill and plain that you are using for the project that has been given to you. Their characteristics. So this morning, we are starting another topic, so on how to weave, and that is design, draft, and peg plan. Now you've been able to design all that you have shaded in the graph book using the numbers, the plain weaves, and then the trail. They are the designs I'm talking about. So the design, that careful construction of the lifting orders that you have constructed using the graph book. You are going to use that one. That is a guide, that's a procedure. You are using that as a procedure so that you will go and use it following the steps in the loom when you go to the loom to weave. So before you can sit and weave in the weaving room, or before you can sit beside the loom to weave, there are three basic things that you're supposed to think about. And these three basic things are first the design. After the design, you're supposed to what? Connect the designs to the treadles, and that is the draft. And after that, you're supposed to what? Tie them, and that is the peg plan or the tie up. And these three factors are closely related and dependent on each other. One cannot stand alone. So let's look at them. I said you have done the design already, but what is it? So the design is a careful construction of the order in which the warp I've told you the warp are the ends. So we have the warp ends, the ends that run vertical, or when you see the weaver weaving, the yarns in front of him, that is the ends. So they are called warp ends. Then the weft picks, the ones that we use for interlacing, you put in the shuttle to put inside the warp yarns when we open them, are called the weft picks. So the weft picks yarns interlace, and this should be indicated on the graph paper by shading. So that is the design. So when you use the numbers to create your design, you shade them to bring out the design. So this is a design which you have them in your graph. So you have the designs, you have these designs, you have created your own designs. So these are the designs. So after creating the design, you shade. You shade. So this is 12 wave. So this is 4, 3, 2, 1, because you know how to shade them. So this is 4, then this is shaft 1, shaft 2, shaft 3, shaft 4. So the 4, you move to the shaft 4, you shade the 4, and then the preceding one. This is 2/2 12. Then you move to a design 3, you go to shaft 3. And this is 1, 2, and 3. So shaft 3, because it's 2/2, you shade 3 and 4. And this is 2. You move to shaft 2. Then you shade 2 and 3. And this 1, you move to shaft 1. You shade 1 and 2 in that order. I know this one, you know it because you have created your own design. Okay, so let's move on and see if you talk of now you have created your design. How can we weave the design on the loom? You need to do a whole lot of things. So the next thing that you're supposed to do after creating the design is the draft. So the top here is the design. You see, you have the 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That design that was shaded nicely. Now, how can I weave this? Before you need to what? Do your draft. We are moving step by step. So this is what you are seeing here, the shafts, the various shafts, the shaft that we mentioned over here. We have brought them here. So now, how do I create the draft? So in creating your draft, you bring the drafts down beneath the design. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the one we wrote at the side here. So we have brought the 4 shafts down here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And always we need to do it to the last end because the design continues. Okay. So when you see design 1, this is your 1. So the design 1, you shaded the shaft 1, right? So you bring it here shaft 1, but since because you shaded this one, here you use X mark to show the shafts that design will be placed on. So this is design 1 will be on shaft 1. So you use the X mark to mark it. And this is design 2. So our design 2 is on shaft 2. So it will be on this shaft. Design 3 will be on shaft 3. Design 4 will be on shaft 4. Design 1 is on shaft 1. Design 2 is on shaft 2. Design 3 is on shaft 3. Design 4 is on shaft 4 in that order. So you see, we are moving the design to the loom, and the loom have 4 shafts. So we need to make sure that the design can move on the 4 shaft. That's the reason why we need to do the draft. So the draft, what is the draft? So I have showed you that the draft represent the shafts. So you have brought the shafts here. You have separated the shaft from here and you have brought them down here. So when you see one, you mark with letter X. on the shaft. And this is design 2 on shaft 2, design 3 on shaft 3 on that order. So what is the draft? The draft shows the sequence or order in which the warp yarn or the warp ends are threaded through the eyelets of the hells and the number of hells used for a design. A number of hells used for the design. So this is normally shown on the graph paper by an X mark, indicating that the warp yarn should be passed through a held on that particular heddle frame in relation to the design, as I've already explained up there. So the design that we have done, you need to show the shaft that will pick the design, because when we are creating the design, we created using the shaft. And now we need to separate the shaft and bring it down on the design and and indicate what type of shaft take the design. So 1 will take shaft 1, 2 will take shaft 2 in that order. So anytime you're doing your draft, you need to do it in connection with your design. Okay. So this is another design that explains what I have just demonstrated. So we have our design 1 here. So the design 1, so you see it's the shaft. The design 1 is on shaft 1. So we have marked shaft 1. Design 2 is on shaft 2. This is the shaft 2. So it's shaft on shaft 2. Design 3 is on shaft 3. Design 4 is on shaft 4. And design 1 is on shaft 1, 2, in that order. Okay. I hope you understand it. So anytime you are doing your draft, it shall or it should be under the design. It should be under the design. So the shaft here that you have written on this side, you bring it here, you just separate it here so that you can do your draft. So this is the one that we are going to use to do our threadling in the loom. So you can't just sit down and just tell yourself you're doing, you are threading your yarns, but you need to do it according to the draft that you have. So you take this one to the loom. So when you get to the loom, you know what exactly you are going to do. Okay. So here I have put some numbers here for you. This is our headline order. So the headline order at times is the same as the design that you have created. So this is the design that this is numbers. You can use these numbers to how to create a design. And when you are doing your drafts, it's the same number, you see. So this is the trading order, the one at the side. So this is 4, it is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4. So that is the draft under, and this is the design. So use this one to create a design. Use this one to create a design. And after creating the design, do the draft for me. I hope you can do it. Do the first one and the second one. Create your design. So the design that you have created too, if you understand it very well, then you can do small lines at the under and do the draft for me. When we meet face to face, I will take my time to mark it for you, telling me that you understand what you are doing. Okay. So after the threading, we are supposed to connect the shaft to the threaders, and that is called the peg plan or tie. In certain books, we use lifting plan. Which treadle are you going to lift before the other? So lifting plan. So what is the tie up? Tying up is the process of connecting the heddle frames or hell shafts to the treadles for the purpose of shedding. So in order to tie up, or the order of tying up, so the order of tying up depends on the weave pattern to be produced for plain weave. For plain weave, the heddle frame 1 and 3 are connected to thread 1, as I've already explained. So 1, 3, 2, 4 for plain weave. When you are doing the treadling, when you are doing the tying up, it's 1, 3 to thread 1, 2, 4 to thread 2. Odd numbers and even numbers. Let me explain it further here. So this is the peg plan for plain weave. So we tie shaft 1 and shaft 3 to thread 1, shaft 2 and shaft 4 to thread 2. The treadles are 6, as I've already explained. I'll show the loom to you very soon for you to know. Or just take your book and let's move accordingly. So the trail, you see, is very funny and very interesting. The tie up for trail is so interesting. It goes the same way we shade it. So when you are shading a 2/2 trail, you see one, you shade 1 and 2. So we tie 1 and 2 to the treadle. The next treadle after 2 is for 3. Then 2, you take 2 again, 2 and 3 to treadle 4. Then when you see 3, you shade 3 and 4. So 3 and 4 to treadle 5. Then when you see 4, you shade 4 and 1. So 4 and 1 to treadle 6. So that is the tying up for the loom. So now the 3 basic factors you have finished. You plan the design, then you use the design to create your draft. Then the draft is where you are going to use to pass the individual yarns through the through the heddle frames. Okay. Then after that, after you are done, you are supposed to tie them up to the treadles. So let's see. You get it. Okay. So here we have plain weave here. So we have 1. This is shaft 1. This is shaft 2. Shaft 1 and shaft 2. So this one is 1 and 3. You see it, we tie 1 and 3 to treadle 1. 1 and 3. Okay, you can do 1 or 2. So you start from here, 2 and 4 to treadle 1. It can be 1 or 2. Then 1 and 3 to treadle 2. So now the plain weave is 1, 3, 2, 4. Whichever way is 1, 3, 2, 4. So it takes 2 of the treadles. Then when you come here, you have 1. You shade 1 and 2. So 1 and 2, you take the next treadle. You can make this one treadle 3. Then 2 and 3. We take the next treadle. 3 and 4, we take the next treadle. And 4 and 1, we take the next treadle. So that is the tie up. So with this, when we get to the loom, you understand it better. Okay, so let's move on. So that's what we discussed right now is the 3 basic factors to consider before weaving can be done on the loom. And they also form part of the preparatory processes before weaving. So preparatory process, what are some of the preparations that you're supposed to make before you sit beside the loom, right? And all that we have shared is in here. So before weaving can be done on the loom, there is the need to do the following. So first is planning and designing. So it captures the factors. So the factor one, you are supposed to do your designing. Okay. So now planning and designing we have a whole lot that we're supposed to think about. You take it one after the other. So these are the 8 preparatory processes that one must go through before weaving can be done on the loom. So first is the planning and designing. After planning and designing, you do your the working or work laying till you have finished the book work. So you take it to the practical. Then after working, you do beaming, heddling, reading or denting. Then the tie up. After tying up, the loom is ready for weaving. So you need to prepare your weft yarns on the bobbins. Then after that, you sit and weave. So these are the 8 preparatory processes that we're supposed to go through before weaving can done on the loom. So let's see, if you talk of planning and designing, what is it? This is the first preparatory process. It involves planning the type of weave structure to be woven. There is also the need to calculate the number of work ends to be used, taking into consideration the width of fabric and then the reed size to be used. And we term all these as what? Cloth particulars. Cloth particulars. We are taking particulars of the cloth that we are going to weave. So that's is being what? Considered under planning and designing. So how many yards am I going to weave? You need to plan it. And if I'm going to weave 1 yard, how many yarns am I going to use? That will give me the 1 yard. So if it is 36, that is the width. The width is the 36. So the width 36, how many yarns will go into the 36? And this we can know best using the reed that we're going to use. So the reed we have numbers. We have 36-inch reed, 24-inch reed, 48-inch reed. And how do we calculate? How do we know that this reed is 24 or this reed is 48 that I'm talking about? So to know the reed, you are supposed to take. So what is the reed I'm talking about? The reed. I think I need to show you the reed. This is the reed. This is the reed. And that will help you to know the width. So the length of the fabric is determined by the reed that you are going to use. So if you want to use 36 as inch, a 36-inch, then a 36 width, then you measure 36 on the reed. Then you count the number of holes, that is the length. Then that number is where you are going to put the yarns, and it will give you the width that you want. So if from here to here is 36, then your yarn should be packed up to that width. And when you weave, you get the 36 that I'm talking about. So we call something cloth particulars. So let's do some calculations. Let's do some calculations. So I want to find out the total number of ends to be used for that particular cloth. I need to do some calculations. So to find the total number of ends, to be used for your fabric, what is the formula? The formula is your total number of ends, that is T is total number of ends, is equal to the width of the fabric, and the width is represented by WF, that is the width of fabric. I didn't link all the fabric here. So the width of fabric, you can even represent it by W times the reed size. The reed is what I showed you right now. So the width is, what I'm going to use is, the width is 36. So that is your width. If the width is 36, then the reed size, what reed number are you going to use? So the reed, I said they have numbers. So the numbers will tell you the how big the hole in the reed is. So some reed have closer dent. The hole is called dent. Some reed have closer dent. So when you weave, you see the fabric is packed. Others have spaced out what dent. So it depends upon the reed size. Normally, for the plain weave, you use 24 inch. So to know the reed number, you take your ruler, then you measure the reed, 1 inch of the reed. Then you count the dent inside the reed. So if you count the dent with that 24, the 1 inch that you have measured, and you get 24 dent, then that reed is called 24-inch reed. If you count and you get 36, it's 36-inch reed. So that is what we are talking about. So let's see a sample question that we can meet. So calculate the number of warp end of a fabric to be woven using a 40 centimeter reed and the width of 36 inches, 36 centimeters. 36 centimeters. So you are using 40 centimeters reed. So the reed that you're going to use is 40 centimeters. So that is the width of the reed. And you are supposed to use 30, the width of your fabric is 36. So if I want to know the individual yarn that I'm going to use, it is the reed times the width that will give me the total number of ends. So if I know the reed number to be 40, and then the width that I'm going to use is 36, so I will multiply the 40 times 36, and that is the total number that I'm going to use. So if I'm using 1 yard, I need to use 1,440 individual yarns. That will give me the 1 yard, that is the 36 width of the fabric. I hope you understand it. It's somehow complex, but when you start with the calculation, it will be somehow easier. Okay, so let's move on and see. So to find the width of fabric, now we have been able to calculate the total number of the warp yarn that we're going to use to give us the 1 yard. Now, what about if you don't know the width and the reed is given to you? How do you go about it? So here, I've given you the formulas. So to find the width of the fabric, is width of fabric is equals to total ends divided by the reed size. Now, so it means that they will give you the total ends and the reed size will be given to you. So you just what? Divide it and you have uh, the width of the fabric, because if you want to get the total number, is the width times the reed size. So if you want to get the width, is the total ends divided by the width size. Okay, so to find the percentage of shrinkage or final width of the fabric, now after weaving, when you put the fabric down, you realize that when it relaxes, the fabric will shrink. So when you're weaving, you're supposed to take all these into consideration. The width of the fabric you need to take into consideration. So at times you allow maybe 5% shrinkage. So the fabric is 30, should be 36. So exactly. So because of that, allow 5% shrinkage. So you add 5%. If not, at times you just weave it to the same size. When you cut it, there will be hot 5% shrinkage. That means that the fabric will reduce, you will not get the same size as the 36. So all these things we're supposed to do some calculations to find out. And that is the formula for doing that. So from here, I'll give you work and you just use the formula and you get everything correct. So to find the hands, at times, how many hands? The hands for today, you are using the bobbins, the yarns on bobbins, yarns on the cones, the yarn packaging. I hope you remember. But at first, we were using the hands. You know, I have demonstrated the hands to you, so you know the hands. So now, so now, the hand is a round and the round package. That one is not on the bobbin. Okay. So to know the total, to find the number of hands that have been used to produce 1 yard is the total number of ends times length of the fabric divided by length per hand. So when the question is given to you, you just use the formula, you just substitute and off you go. So to find the design repeat, the design repeat is when you are weaving, at times you have one color repeating itself or one design repeating itself to have a bigger fabric. Okay. So how do we determine the repeat of that design? So you need to know the total number of ends. Then end per repeat. So that small size that is being repeated severally. So you know that length or that width. Then you multiply by, you divide it by the total ends. So you know the number of repeats that repeat itself across the width of the fabric. Okay. So the number of hands, I think I have done this. Then the number of pedals on each shaft. The number of pedals on each shaft. So you know the shafts, they are 4. But out of the 4, we have designed our, you have designed our fabric using the hells, those hanging on the distance. You see, these are the shafts. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. And out of the 4, we have the hells. The hells are plenty. And you use the hells to pack our yarns according to the design that we have created or according to the headland order. You see, so these are the hells I'm talking about, and these are the shafts. Okay, so let's go back. So the number of hurdles on each shaft. How can we determine the number of hurdles on each shaft? The shaft are 4. So if you know the total number of ends, then divided by the number of shafts, and always the shaft here, we have 4 shafts. Okay, so that is it. Then to find the weight of the warp, how heavy the warp is. So it's the weight of work divided by count. The count will be given. That means the smoothness and then the how smooth or how heavy the yarn is. That one too will be given to you. Then to find the weight of the warp, I think it's here. Okay. Now let's do some small calculations and see. It's so simple. It's so simple. So don't be frightened. So a napkin measuring 50 centimeters wide, that is the width, is to be woven on a broad loom with dents per centimeter read. So with 20 dents, forgive me, with 20 dents, else here, with 20 dents per centimeter read. Let me do the correction. I'll come back right now. With 20 dents per centimeter read. With 20 dents per centimeter read. Okay. So with 20 dents per centimeter read, calculate the total number of ends needed. So how do you go about this question? So first of all, you need to make sure that you put down all the things that have been given to you in the question. So I have written here given. The givens are the things that have been given to you to do the calculation. So the width of napkin has been given as what? 50 centimeters. So you write it. So you have width of fabric, then you write it down. Then the reed size is also given to you. It's what? At 20 centimeters. As 20 centimeters. So you write it down. So these are the givens. So if you know your givens, then you now go back to your calculations. So you quote the formula. You quote the formula. So the question is requesting you to know the total number of ends. So what is the formula for calculating the total number of ends? It's width of fabric times reed size. Width of fabric times reed. So total number of ends is equal to width of fabric times reed size. So you do the substitution. So the total number of ends is equal to width. So the width is what? 50. And then the reed size is what? 20. So 50 times 20 will give you the total number of ends. That is what? 1,000. I hope this one is so simple. With the help of all the uh, examples that I have given to you, you can do some of the works that will be given you. Okay, so let's see. I gave you just one example. Okay, it's okay. So go check your book. You have exercise one. That is the example that I'm giving to you. You have example two, example three, example four. Then some of the questions I'll give to you later. Try your hands on them and let's see the results. So when we meet, you do discussion on them. Okay. So after the planning and designing, where you do all your calculations and others, the next step or the next procedure is warping. Now I have calculated everything. I need 1,000 warp yarns. So how am I going to get this 1,000 warp yarns on the loom? So you need to what? Go to the next step, that is warping. So warping is a process of putting many long yarns together to form the yarns that run lengthwise in the woven fabric. So just like we have started with the frame, you see, before we do anything, we start with what? Putting the yarns on the nails. putting the yarns on the nose. So the same thing. So now you know the number of yarns that you're going to use. You plan it the same way. How many colors am I going to use? Am I going to use just one color across or what? How am I going to distribute the colors? All these things you use, you do it just like I introduced you to the frame, how we did the work planning. So after the planning, then you come to the working board. Working board. So maybe the first salvages, the salvage I will use maybe 24. Then you start. What you see here are called the crosses. 1, 2, 3. The process will help you to do your opening. That is how the process help you to do the shedding. So it's a very special place that if you mess here all the work that you are doing, all the yarns you need to destroy them. So when you are putting the many long yarns together, you take particular attention to the process. So you will start from down here. At times you can do your process, so you have the same thing here, the same thing at the top here. So you can decide to do your process here or here. You can start here and do your process here, or you can start here and do your process up. So when you start here, you measure if you're doing maybe 3 yards, you measure that 3 yards by going after measuring the 3 yards, you go through this 4 angles. So you go back and forth till all the 4 yards are hot, are finished. Then you do the courses up here. This one is too practical. When you do the practicals, you get to know of it more than doing it on this online this thing. It's become so difficult. But when you do the practical, it is so simple and straightforward. Okay, so you do it, but I'm just demonstrating it just here for you. So these are the yarn that somebody has sold, somebody has done. You see, for purpose of avoiding entanglement, he has tied the spaces here. So when you are removing, your yarns, you will not hold it will not get entangled. Okay, so you have packed all these yarns here, and that packing them is called a warping. And how do you remove it? So you see the person removing this from the warping mill. So after the removal, then the next step is called beaming. You take it to the loom. So let's see. I was also talking about process. So why do you create the process? The process helps in the shedding process. That is fast. It facilitates easy and smooth opening of the warp yarn during weaving. It prevents entanglement of warp yarns, thus ensuring smooth weaving process. It separates the warp yarns to align parallel to each other, and it helps to locate or identify and tie broken ends. All these things is because of your process. One up, one down, one up, one down, one up, one down, one up, one down. If you make it 1 up, 2 down, it means that there will be entanglement. So you check that one, right? So 1 up, 1 down. So when you're doing your tie up, when you take 2 and 4, all the 2 shafts will move down and the 1 and 3 will stay up. So that is the reason why we do this process, so that we can do the tie up smoothly. It's something very interesting, but it takes a whole lot of attention. It facilitates smooth, quick, and easy handling, thereby enabling the weaver to identify the appropriate end that should be handled. So when you do 1 up, 1 down, and the up one is having a problem, you know. If the down one is having a problem, you know. Okay. So after the warping with the crosses, the next process is beaming. So you have taken the warp from the warping mill, you bring it to the loom, this time to the loom. So you need to come and lay the yarns on the loom. So that is what beaming. This is a process where by the long warp is stretched out and rolled on or wound onto the warp beam on the loom. On the loom. So what is the warp beam? I think I didn't bring it. Okay. So you need to lay the yarns. Let me go and bring it because you are supposed to understand this process, the beaming. Okay. So the beaming is where you roll all the mini yarns. You pack them and arrange them on the loom. So let's see. Let's see the beaming. I'm bringing it here for you to see. Beaming. Oh, this. Okay. The beaming. Okay. Good. Yeah, I'm bringing it for you to see. So what is the beaming? It is inside your book. So if you are following, you realize that there's a lady. So this is the beaming. So you need to, this is one of my students who love textiles so much. She has set up her own company after uh, graduation from, I think, Cape Coast or Uniba. So you see the process here, the process. The process is everything. So you need to bring the whole thing to the loom. Then where the process, you put some sticks in the process. Then you tie it to the loom. Then you hold, you stretch the whole thing with the help of your rattle. This is the rattle. The rattle looks like the reed, but the rattle has open hot dents more than the reed. So you see, you need to spread everything. So you have seen how he just arranged. So here you count the number of yarn that will take the selvage. So about 24 here and 24 here. Then the number of black, you count the number of black here, then white here, and the black at the middle. You do all before you stand and do the walking. So after that, you spread it, you see it hot nicely here. Okay, so after walking, you remove it. Then after this one, you send it to the loom and spread it out. And that is what beaming. So after everything, you wind it on the back beam after so that it will all will be on hot on the beam here. You wind everything on this beam and the loom is ready for heddling. The yarns are ready for heddling. So the beam is here and now you are releasing it and putting them here according to the draft that you have. So the draft you are now coming to do it here. So your design one will take shaft one, then you put it on shaft one according to the draft. Your design two will take shaft two according to your draft. Your design three will take shaft three according to your this. So the draft will help you to put all the yarns on the helps as you can see here, also being done. So your design one, design two, design one will go to design one, shaft one. This can be your shaft one counting from here, or this can be your shaft one counting from the back. Okay, so you look for shaft one, then you look for shaft two, shaft three, shaft four, then you come back to shaft one, shaft two, shaft three, shaft four, according to your design. I hope you are getting it. According to your design. Okay. So after packing all on the inside the house with the health hook, you have a hook that will help you to pack all the yarns. So there is an eye here. So you take the yarn from here. There's one person there helping. So the person will take the yarn for you. Then you put it in the eye here. Then you push it. So when you are done, you are coming to put all these individual yarns through the dents of the reed that help you to get the total number of yarns. You're coming to pack all these yarns to get the width of that uh, fabric that you are weaving. So that is reading. You're coming to pass them. You see, one is being what hanged here is put. So to push it through. So you pack all the yarns here. So this is going to serve as you're beating up. Okay, so reading, it is the process of passing the individual ends through the dents of the reed. Usually, one end is passed through a dent. That is it. So it's a tedious way. And when you make a mistake, you forget to put it, you are putting it here, and you forget to put it here, and you are about finishing and you realize this, you need to remove it and fix it. So it needs tension and patience. So if you're able to do it, you are somebody who will have patience in life. So it's a therapy. I love it so much. Okay, so after packing all, now the loom is getting ready. So you need to do your tie up. You need to do your tie up. You see, the three things, they are all inside the eight. So the tie up. It is a process of connecting the heddle frames or hell shaft to the treadles for the purpose of shedding. So now you have fixed all, these are our shafts. You have put all the yarns here. You need to tie the shaft to the connecting hot treadles. These are the treadles. So the treadle one, treadle two, treadle three, treadle four, treadle five, treadle six. You see, so you're going to weave your fabric, a trail, but the trail to inside you have the plain. So all will take the six. So one, you tie the plain weave first. That is, you take shaft one and shaft three, you tie it to one treadle, shaft two, shaft four to this treadle. That is for the plain weave. Then you move to the trail. You take shaft one again, and one and two move together. Then you tie it to the next treadle. Then you take two again and three. You tie to the next treadle. Then three and four to the next treadle. And four and one to the next treadle. Now you have tied the shaft to the treadle. So anytime you tread on one, the shaft will move. One and three will move down. The rest will move. Then it will create a shed for you. We'll come to that. So that is the purpose of the tying up. So the proper tying up will help a smooth opening of the shed so that you can put in your shuttle. Okay. Mm. Okay. So you will end here. That is, so our next will be the uh, that of the weft preparation. Now the loom is set for you for weaving. So our next is what? The preparation of the weft, the one that we're going to put inside so that you can beat it up for the weaving to take place. So see you another time for that one. Thank you.